Hey, greetings, everyone. As promised, I'm here with a great American, a great Texan by the name of Jack Wilson. And let me just give you a little bit about his bio. He's a small business owner for the past 30 years. He's worked for 18 years negotiating proposals and contracts for major defense companies. He has served as a Hood County Reserve Deputy Sheriff from 1980 to 1986. He is a licensed firearms instructor. So if you need to, down in Hood County, get your concealed handgun license or your license to carry, please check out Jack. He continues to work with federal, state, and local levels of law enforcement, and he has been married with his beautiful wife that I got to meet at down in Waco for 51 years. He's raised his family down there in Granbury in Hood County for the past 42 years. Proud parents, he and his wife, of 3 daughters and the blessed grandparents of 10 and 1 even great grandchild. So, Jack Wilson, it's a pleasure and an honor to be with you, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Alan. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the time and the invite.
You know, without a doubt, everyone recognizes you and everyone knows you as that hero from the West Freeway Church of Christ there in White Settlement, Texas, right outside of Fort Worth, and the action that you took to save lives. Your congregants there and your brothers and sisters. But a lot of people don't know the Jack Wilson that's running for Hood County Commissioner.
Yes, sir. I was approached in September of last year to possibly run for county commissioner, and as we progressed into late September, early October, it became more and more apparent that possibly, that would be something I need to do. My wife and I discussed it, and I discussed it with several others that were asking me to run, and we made the decision to run. I filed, I believe it was November 13th, 2019, right after the filing started on November the 9th. At that time, there were 2 other individuals who were running, had filed, and then on the last day, another individual decided to join the group. There was, at that time, made 4 of us running for the group for the county commissioner seat, Precinct 3, and now we've had the primary election in March the 3rd. We are now in a runoff with a sitting state house representative named Mike Lang, between him and myself, for the county commissioner Precinct 3 position. And that right now, that vote is scheduled for July the 14th, which is a Tuesday. The early voting will be the week prior to that on July 6th through 10 at Annex 1 here in Granbury at Hood County. And I want to get everybody to understand, please come out and vote. Even if those who did not vote in the primary can come out and vote in the runoff.
Now, you bring up a good point, because when we have gone through this COVID-19 lockdown and shutdown, a lot of people have lost track and lost sight of a lot of these very important races, especially these runoff races that would have occurred in May. But kind of give us an idea of what you see as the critical issues there in Hood County and what separates you away from your runoff opponent.
The fact that I've lived here since 1977, my wife and I actually bought property in 1970. We moved here permanently in 1977. We were involved, all 3 of the girls were in high school at one time, and pretty much all 3 were involved in different activities at high school. A lot of volunteer work, a lot of coordinating activity with them as as they were growing up. 2 of our daughters and their families still live here in the county. One is in my precinct, in Precinct 3. The other one is in Precinct 4. But we still have a lot of resources that we have used in volunteering for the county. We've seen the county grow from a small sleepy town after the lake was put in, and then basically explode. There's over 230 miles of shoreline around the lake, and there's pretty much developments on all of that.
And just to, can you just let people know what the lake is there in Granbury and Hood County?
That's Lake Granbury.
Yep.
Basically, what they did in 1969 is they dammed up the Brazos River to create the lake. The Brazos River is fed. Possum Kingdom is on the Brazos River also, and then Lake Whitney, and then another lake further down before it actually the Brazos River ends up into the Gulf at Brazoria. The growth, the county has last year, according to the 2019 census, was the 9th fastest growing county per capita in the country, in the whole United States, not just the state, the whole United States. So there's major growth concerns, issues as far as the infrastructure, the roads, of course, because when you have that kind of an increase in traffic, that's always an issue, making sure you've got the proper infrastructure and the proper utilization of the resources available.
Now, when you talk about that incredible growth that we're seeing, and of course, Granbury is kind of south, a little bit south and west coming out of Fort Worth and Tarrant County, you're seeing that in the surrounding counties to all the major metropolitan areas. You see that down around Houston, Harris County area, of course, Dallas and Dallas County. So we're talking about economic growth, opportunity, and expansion that we see. So you being a small business owner and knowing what we're going through right now, we have 1.8 million Texans who are unemployed at this time. How have you seen this COVID-19 issue, the coronavirus issue, affect business owners and affect the people and the opportunities there in Granbury over the last couple of months?
It's been a significant impact because most, not all, but a lot of the businesses here in town rely on tourism out of Fort Worth, out of Dallas, out of other areas. The eating establishments, the small shops around the square, all of those, pretty much are shut down. With the governor's order yesterday, that get to open up, a little bit on Friday, but there's still a major impact, to the that there's a lot of people that are unemployed in the county and not being able to go to work and provide for their families. So that is an issue that is an ongoing continuance that we have to keep dealing with on a daily basis until the orders are rescinded and everybody can go back to work full time.
Now, what's the mood of the people down there in Granbury and Hood County as far as getting back to work? Because I know that there's a website out there called Open Up Texas, and
yes,
people are itching to get back going. So is that also a prevailing attitude there in Hood County?
Yes, sir, it is. There's a significant number of people who are wanting to go back to work, need to go back to work, and wanting to enhance, go against actually there's a push here in the county that that was to go against the governor's executive orders, which was again on the table today at County Commissioner's Court. There's a lot of people who feel like that the county commissioners should have gone against the governor's wishes and open everything up wide open right off the bat. In accordance with state constitution and state law, they cannot do that. In fact, today's vote to table that resolution that was presented by one of the county commissioners actually was tabled on a 4-1 vote until further review and discussion. So as bad as it is that the people cannot go back to work at full throttle at this point, I fully understand and respect their wishes. I wish everybody could go back to work myself, but at this point they can't do that. And if there's a spike, then we need to be aware that there possibly could be a spike. I have personally been in contact with the Governor Abbott's office now 5 times in the last 10 days. And I know I was in contact with that office, first thing this morning at 8:15, suggesting that, please give the Commissioner's Court in those counties that have low or no infectious rates to give them more of a leeway than what he gave yesterday. Because what he gave yesterday is those counties who have 5 or less have more leeway. As of right now, today, Hood County has a total of 19 infections. We've had 2 deaths as a result of COVID-19, and of course our hearts are with those families that are impacted by the fatalities, and also by those that are impacted by the quarantine, but more importantly those that are impacted by not being able to work. A lot of the people, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a key point, because when you look at the mayor of Collierville, Texas, just west from Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, that mayor decided, hey, Collierville is going to open up. He did it last week. And when I have a concern, or a bit of a, I guess, a reticence against, you look at the state of Texas, 254 counties, it's very difficult to have a cookie cutter approach on 254 counties. And so I think it would be better if we allow some of this decision making to go down to the county, to maybe even that local city level, as long as we are issuing out the right guidelines from the state of Texas, from the governor's office.
Yes, sir. And that's what I had been proposing to the governor's office in my contact there is, since I had actually proposed that, instead of a number of 5, infectious rate as he used yesterday, 25. And, and then again, if there's a spike, then we go back basically to square one as far as shutting things down again, although that didn't happen. We have minimal amount of, here in the county. There's, some counties in the state that have 0 infectious rate. Over 100 of them, counties do not have any COVID-19 infections. So, those, counties actually got more leeway, but some of the counties here in the, this area need, in my opinion, need a little more leeway than what we actually were given, by the governor yesterday. That goes into effect on Friday, May 1.
Well, and let's talk about something else, because again, you brought up the point about the growth as far as the population and an expansion there. Are you seeing a shift in the political demographics there in Hood County and Granbury, because maybe you're having a lot of new people moving to the area?
Seems to be somewhat, although it's still minimal. The Hood County is primarily a very strong Republican county. The ratio is, roughly, in Precinct 3, 9-to-1 Republican over Democrat. One of the things that, was concerning in the primary election, as an example, though, was the fact that there's 11,687 registered voters in Precinct 3, and only 3,847 actually voted. So the whole task of getting people to come out and vote is very important, and that's that's one of my focal points that I'm going to be addressing. Is even the people who did not vote in the primary can still vote in the runoff, on July 14th.
That's a great point, and I think that's one of the things that we need to hammer. When you see that big of a discrepancy between the registration of voters and the voters that are registered to vote and those people that are actually coming out, we've got to make sure that we get a really good turnout as we go forward into your runoff election, and then also into November. But I like to switch topics a little bit, because everyone knows the incredible heroic action that you took there at West Freeway Church of Christ, and you and I met at the Texas State Rifle Association annual meeting back in March. I'm really concerned about some of the anti-Second Amendment, some of the gun control, people that we are starting to see, Robert Francis O'Rourke. What are your concerns about the Second Amendment here in the state of Texas and making sure that, if Vice President Biden were to become president, he was a guy that was wholeheartedly against people being able to carry arms in churches. But without a doubt, we know your story and we know how that saved lives. So what do you see happening as far as the Second Amendment and that right to carry here in the state of Texas?
As the number of people from out of state continue to move into Texas and into the North Texas area specifically, we're starting to see, some of them, saying, well, you don't need guns. We didn't have guns where we came from. I got my first gun actually when I was 7 years old. I have been a licensed federal firearms dealer since 1986. Ran my own business of a firearms retail range and training school from 1995 to 2016. And I still run it on a much smaller scale now. The people around, Hood County particularly are very much pro Second Amendment. But if you go not too far away, in Tarrant County and Dallas County especially, you start seeing, people more against the Second Amendment, and that's a big concern. Noticed this morning that the Supreme Court chose not to use the New York state law, and New York City law regarding, being able to carry, guns to and from. The Supreme Court chose not to address that today. And so that is a concern as we start, going down this path of what do we do to make sure that our Second Amendment rights are held in place and we keep those, because understand one thing, that if we lose the Second Amendment, we will lose all other rights. I mean, people say, no, that's not true. All you have to do is look at, Venezuela, look at Cuba, look at Russia, all those countries that have done away with, guns now are basically under tyranny and anarchy, and not protect themselves. We have to be able to protect ourselves. One of the things that is in the Texas Republican Party plank number 70 specifically, is for constitutional carry. Plank number 77 says responsible gun owners will obtain training on how to use their firearm. Just because there's been a significant upsurge in firearms purchases and ammunition purchases in the last 2 months, a lot of the people were first-time buyers, and those individuals, a lot of them have not been around firearms at all, and so they're going to need training. They have to be explained what they have, how to use it, learn how to use it properly to prevent possible injury or damage to themselves or their property or other individuals. So we have to work on that and make sure that just because somebody went out and bought a gun, they can actually learn how to properly use it and train with it.
I wholeheartedly agree, and that's why you're an incredible firearms instructor. And so many people saw that gut-wrenching video, which was only 6 seconds in that firefight. And I've always told people, having been in combat, that it doesn't take very long in a firefight, in an exchange of fire, for someone to lose their lives. Sadly, you lost 2 of your friends, 2 of your parishioners there at West Freeway Church of Christ. But because of your training, because of your professionalism and expertise, you were able to quickly engage that shooter and neutralize that shooter. So again, how important is it that, these people that are going out, recently, a lot of folks buying weapons, that they find someone like yourself or others that can properly train them so that they are not a danger to themselves or anyone else, because that's the key. the left is always looking to use something as a means by which to undermine our Second Amendment rights, and we want to make sure we don't allow them to have that. So how can people reach out and get in touch with you as far as your firearms training expertise?
The website, or my email address rather, is jack@ontargetfirearms.com, and On Target Firearms is all one word, and again, firearms does have an S on it. On my Facebook page, also my cell phone is there. We work to get people as comfortable as they can be with their firearm as they are tying their shoe. As simple as that analogy may be to some folks, I've had actually people that would come in and be afraid to even touch a clearly unloaded gun, revolver, or a semi with the magazine out and the slide lock back, afraid to even touch it. And our goal is to get them to where they can, it becomes second nature, because just like in my case, with my training and practice, the situation on December 29th, 2019 at the church, instinct and training took over. That was, and plus the fact that I know that God's hand was on mine, when I pulled that trigger. I mean, yes, I practiced and I trained, but I also know that, his hand was, guiding, what I was doing. But we have to get people to understand you have to be as comfortable with, your firearm, especially one that you're, going to carry on a regular basis or wear on your person, as you are tying your shoes. And again, as simple as that analogy is, you have to become proficient with that firearm.
Well, and also, how can people connect with you in your race as the Hood County Commissioner?
Again, on my Facebook page, Jack Wilson, the County Commissioner, Precinct 3, and also on Messenger to that. If they just go to Facebook, Jack Wilson, and then there's a link to the county, my county commissioner's page there. And we post on it, regularly, my mission statement, as far as what I'm, running for and what I'm running on. My platform was posted on December 1 of 2019, and it is right there on the commissioner Facebook page.
Well, Jack Wilson, I want to thank you so much, and you have my support. And I want to say right here, right now, that I endorse you in that county commission race down there in Hood County, because you are indicative of what we need, not just in Texas, but all across the United States of America. You're a man of principle, you're a man of character, you're a man of courage. We thank you for your service and what you did back in December, but we thank you for what you're going to do in serving the people of Hood County down there as their county commissioner. So thanks for being with us here on Chairman Chats.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your endorsement. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you again shortly.
Absolutely, and let's go shooting. I'm sure you can help me to improve my handgun skills. I was just a stupid artillery officer, so.
No, we work on both all ages and all both men and women, trying to get them comfortable where they need to be. To where they can proficiently carry their firearms safely. Wow. One other thing I forgot to mention earlier, also, I have been invited to speak September 24th and 25th at the State Bar of Texas Firearms Law Seminar in Austin, and I will be there, those 2 days, speaking at that event also.
Well, great. And if you are down in Austin that time period in September, please go by and meet this incredible, phenomenal man that I had the opportunity to meet back in March at the Texas State Rifle Association annual meeting. Jack Wilson, thanks. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you, sir. You also be safe, and look forward to seeing you again.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.